Hello, Kipsters. Welcome back. I hope you guys had an awesome week-long break off of school. I am really looking forward to continuing these last 7 weeks with you. I know you guys have, of course, heard the news that we will be online until January, but I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to continue to grow, especially those of you who are watching these videos each and every day. That is how you will get the most growth out of this. And I'm really happy. I'm really positive that this will have a very positive turnout for us when we come back into the music classroom very, very soon. Okay. So as you guys know, we have the recorders at the KIP school. And of course, when we were going to return, it would have been much easier for me to distribute those. But now we are simply waiting on when we will know the next round of curriculum bags is coming out. So you guys have been receiving these curriculum bags that include pencils. I suppose they include paper as well as different tools you'll need to get the work done that will be ahead of it. But I hope to, of course, include a recorder in those the next time those come out, and hopefully those will be coming out in the coming weeks here. Until then, we are going to continue to prepare playing the recorder, and then we may take a brief pause and do a little bit more singing. We know we have the holiday season coming up, and I want to make sure we're getting as much singing as possible. And remember, fourth and fifth last year, you both, those of you who were in music, you both had the opportunity to sing at the showcase. And although the showcase is not going to be the same this year as it was last year, there will be a showcase happening. And I'm still figuring out the logistics of that, what exactly that will look like. But there will be something around that time happening to celebrate the holiday season musically, hopefully together in some sort of way. And I'm looking forward to that. Again, we're going to wait on that until I figure out exactly when I will be able to access those recorders for you all and get those sent to you at your homes. Then we will move forward with the recorder. But for now, I'm going to just teach a smaller lesson about the recorder, the basics of it, and again, just give us an idea of what this instrument is before we get it in our hands, so that we are more efficient players when the time comes. Okay, so again, as always, we are following along on the Nearpod while you're watching this video. It has been what we are doing for the past month, maybe 2 months. So by now, we should be very well aware of the music system, how we're doing it with the Nearpod. I'm also teaching now second and third grade, so they're going to be kind of learning those same types of things you do. So if you have a brother or sister at home that is now doing music, because now every kid in the school is going to be doing music, help them out. You guys have been doing this well. You know how to do it. Give them a general idea of how this works so that we can move along quicker at those levels as well. All right, so we are on this slide that says Rockstar Recorders, Recorder Basics. Again, when I say next or move the slide, go ahead and click next, because you might not be able to see both video and Nearpod at the same time. If you can, nice job, you're a tech wizard. But just so you can hear me say next, so you know that that's when I'm changing the slide, okay? So we're going to start. You should be on the Nearpod listening to me on YouTube, or you can be watching on your phone while doing the Nearpod on your laptop. You have many options here. All right. So next on the Nearpod. All right, these are some notes for me. This lesson should take. So now another thing about our lessons is they're going to be a little shorter now that every kid has to take music, and I think we're going to be having it 5 days a week. I haven't clarified just exactly that, but we should be having it 5 days a week. If not, it'll still be the regular 4 days a week. But our lessons will be shorter now, so that gives you less time on music, but it also means you have to spend that extra time on Mr. Crumb's class, because now you all are in PE as well. Just so you're aware of that, just so you guys are understanding what's going on here. All right. Moving on, next slide. All right, we're not going to go here as well. This is just if I wanted to continue on with this lesson and give you extra activity. But for now, we're just going to move on with this specific Nearpod, and then move on to the next day. Move on to the next slide. Essential question here. All right. How do I play the recorder? Now, of course, you can't play it, and it's not very hard once you get it in your hands. But there is proper ways to play this instrument. So you all could easily make a sound from this recorder, which I'll pull it out. It's very easy to make a sound from this. All you do is blow air through the wind hole or the mouthpiece. We learned about this. The ramp right here takes the air, and then it vibrates to the instrument and comes out the bell at the bottom. Very easy. All I got to do is blow air into it, and it makes a noise. So you all very well easily know how to do that. All right, but there are, like I'm about to explain further, ways to make this instrument sound better, ways to play it properly, make sure you don't sound like a bad recorder player. And we're going to talk about those things here. So moving on to the next slide. Today, your objectives. You will review the parts of the recorder. You will demonstrate correct posture. Mr. Isaac needs to demonstrate his correct posture when playing the recorder, and demonstrate the correct handling of the recorder. Okay. So this is a very delicate instrument. As you can see, it's not very big. All right. It doesn't take much for these things to break. And the ones you have or will have are plastic even. So, or more plastic than this. So they're much easier to break. So you do need to handle them with care. Okay. This isn't just something you toss around and you put it down really fast, and then you ding it once, and then you ding it twice, and there's 2 dings in it now, and then more and more add up. So just making sure we're careful with this instrument and taking it very seriously, because these were donated to us, and we don't want to waste people's donations because we can't be careful. Okay, moving on to the next slide, and of course, let's get started. Moving on to the next slide. We have a poll here. You guys can take this poll on your own. Have you ever played a recorder before? So please answer this question. Some of you have a recorder already. I've talked to some parents who have already bought their child a recorder. So you may have played it already. Some of you may have just played it at a different school you went to before this. I know a lot of schools, this is like the main thing that we do with instruments at the elementary level is play recorders. So if you ever went to another school and played a recorder, go ahead and mark yes. If you never played one, mark no. I'll get a very good guess on who has done so. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put yes because I have, and submit that. Before you learn how to play the recorder, you'll need to learn some music related vocabulary. So some of this vocabulary you may already know, some of it you may not. We may have talked about some of this, but if anything, we need to review it again. All right, we're going to talk about note right now. So we haven't specifically talked about, I suppose we have talked about note. This past 2 weeks or before the break, we were talking about music notes on the treble clef. So that's a note, that's a note name, at least. That's the name of the note. It isn't necessarily the note on the page. So if you look right here on this graphic, you're looking at the Nearpod and you see the slide that says note. All these black dots or circles, those are notes. That's an eighth note right there. That's a half note, which is something we also learned, towards the beginning of this distance learning experience. But indeed, those are notes. That's how we read the music on the pages, with notes. Now, what line and what space they are is the note name. Okay, so that's just the name of the note, so we know what note to play. All right. Move down to the next slide. If you click number 2, it says a sign used in musical notation to represent duration and pitch of a sound. Okay, so you can see here on this slide again, there are just some notes on the staff, and each note is different value. All right, we have quarter note here, an eighth note. We have a 16th note, which we've never even talked about in music class. All right, so those are notes, and that is how we read and play the recorder. All right, moving on to the next slide. Posture. All right, now this is important, and I got in trouble for it all through college, all through high school, all through middle school, all through elementary school, playing with poor posture. All right. It is very hard to always be in a good posture. I know that. I just told you myself, I had trouble with it all through school. It's very hard to do so. But it is also very important to actually try and do it, because one of the main reasons is because when you're sitting in a good posture, your air tunnel, your lungs that goes through here and then goes out your mouth, or that comes in and goes through, is straighter when you're sitting up. So it's easier for the air to flow. It's easier for you to be able to play longer, to be able to play more full, because your air is warm and circulating. Okay. So it's important to play sitting up. Maybe, I'm not even going to try to show you an example of bad versus good, because You can make both of them sound good, and I've tried my ways, but it really isn't the same as sitting up straight and just playing very properly. So if you're sitting in your chair right now, go ahead and just give me the best posture you know how. I would say the best I think is you look at your body, you look at your legs. You kind of have like an angle at it, a 90-degree angle for you math people. A 90-degree angle. Your body is kind of like a chair, just sitting straight. And a lot of people like to also sit at the very front of their chair so they don't have anything to lean back against. Because if you're leaning back, that's also not good posture. If you're leaning forward, that's not good posture either. All right, so sitting up, no back against the chair, is the best way to have posture when you're playing an instrument. I'm going to move on to the second slide right here. It says the position of a person's body when standing or sitting. So most of the time, you're not going to be playing recorder when you're standing, which isn't true, of course, always. But most of the time, you're just going to be sitting down, very relaxed, very easy position. But when you're sitting down, it's easier for you to be lazy. So make sure when you're sitting down, you take the time to just consider posture. Consider it just for a second, and of course, change it if necessary, because as I said, you will be able to play longer. You will be able to have a better sound if you are sitting up straight when you play. Moving on to the next slide, tonguing. Okay, tonguing is a technique you have in recorder playing, not just recorder playing, of course, but all instrument playing. So there's a type of playing called slurring, and then there's a type of playing called tonguing. I think those are the only two type of playings when you're playing with an instrument that has a mouthpiece, tonguing and slurring. And there's also called double tonguing as well. But mostly you're going to be dealing with tonguing and slurring as young instrument players. And I'm going to talk to you about the main difference. Now, when we talk about tonguing, obviously we're going to be using our tongue here. All right. And how we use our tongue is we essentially tap our tongue on the mouthpiece. And I'll show you the difference. Right now, I'm not going to use my tongue every time I play a note. So every time I play a note, I'm just going to be moving my fingers. I'm not going to do anything with my tongue at all. So just listen. Now, I'm going to use my tongue. So, were the notes different? Did they sound different? Were the note names different? Like, was it BAG? Was it BAG both times? Yes, the notes were the same. The note names were the same. But if you listen one more time, I'm gonna just play 3 notes without a tongue. One more time, listen. Now I'm gonna play 3 notes with the tongue. You can hear this sort of separation at the beginning of the notes because my tongue is hitting the mouthpiece and stopping the air a little bit so that there's a separation. I'll make it even more obvious. Now I'll do it without a tongue at all. Without my tongue, I can't make those notes short. That's my tongue doing that, okay? That is tonguing, interrupting the airflow on a woodwind instrument with the tongue. Okay, that's the second slide on that slide there you see. Interrupting the wind flow or the airflow on a woodwind instrument with your tongue. Okay, one more time, listen. You hear I'm interrupting that wind flow without the tongue. Okay. So that's tonguing, very important tool, something that is very hard to learn as young instrument players. It's a concept that is hard to continue to learn as you get better in more hard music. So good that we're going to be getting that practice here, and good that you're getting awareness of it now. All right, woodwind. We talked about this. This is a woodwind instrument, just like my clarinet is that I pulled out for you sometimes. And it is a wind instrument on the second slide that produces sound by vibration of reeds or passing of air across a mouthpiece. Now, again, this instrument does not have a reed. I'm going to show you what a reed looks like. This is a box of reeds. As you can see on the top of this is a clarinet right here. All right, this is the instrument that Mr. Isaac went to play went to college to play. So I would say I'm a pretty good clarinet player, although I haven't played professionally in a very long time. I still consider myself a pretty good clarinet player. And these are reeds. I have this cool little reed holder here, and it holds my reed. And inside this reed holder is a reed. It is a piece of wood. It's hard to see this wood. It is a piece of wood. I don't know how to make it easier to see. That you put on your mouthpiece, and this little piece of wood will vibrate against the mouthpiece like this, and those vibrations cause the sound. And when I put my tongue on it, it stops the sound because it closes the mouthpiece hole, the wind hole. Um, yeah, so this is a very important piece for the woodwind instrument, and this is a big reason why they call it woodwind, because it uses a piece of wood to play it, and a lot of them are made of wood as well. Not all of them, but a lot of them. All right. So woodwind. Of course, we don't use reeds on our recorders. Some of you may have recorders that have a little white piece right here, and then the rest of it is a different color. That just kind of simulates what a reed or where a reed would be. But just for recorders, there is no reed. There's only a mouthpiece, and also the same for a flute. A flute is also a woodwind, and it's not even made of wood, but it doesn't have a reed. It doesn't use a wooden reed mouthpiece, a piece for its mouthpiece. It just uses an air hole. So not all woodwinds are made of wood, and not all woodwinds use a reed. All right. Moving on to the next slide. We're almost done here. Time to show what you know. Okay. So we have four blanks here. All right. I'm going to just read them all to you, and then we could do them together at the end. Blank, interrupting the airflow on a woodwind instrument with the tongue. I think that's going to be a pretty easy answer there. The position of a person's body when standing or sitting. A wind instrument that produces sound by vibration of reeds or passing air across a mouthpiece. And the last one, a sign used in musical notation to represent duration and pitch of a sound. Okay, so I think we know the first one pretty easy. Again, interrupting the airflow on a woodwind instrument with the tongue. All right, we're going to simply drag this word tonguing, because it even says the word in the answer, tonguing. All right, and we're going to put that one at the top because that is the correct answer. The position of a person's body when standing or sitting. All right, is it woodwind? Have you ever heard someone say, oh man, you're standing with great woodwind? Or you're sitting with great woodwind? I don't think that's right. Oh, you're standing with a great note. Or you're sitting with great notes. I don't think you've ever heard that either. But you have probably heard, oh, you're standing with great posture, or fix that posture. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put just because, for obvious reasons, posture, because that is the position of a person's body when standing or sitting. A wind instrument that produces sound by vibration of reeds or passing air across a mouthpiece. I think we know this one. Ladies and gentlemen, and it even says again in the answer, woodwind, a wind instrument. All right, making sure that we don't just have to know the answer, we can see obvious things. All right, that's another part about being intelligent, seeing obvious things and making obvious choices because they're correct. A sign used in musical notation to represent duration and pitch of a sound. Note. Okay, a lot of these answers here in music, the answer are right in the question. So take that to heed. Okay, moving on. We are actually going to pause here for today. Our lessons, as I said, are going to be shorter, so you have time to get those PE lessons in. Tomorrow, we're going to continue on with this Nearpod. So make sure you're using the same code. Make sure you are completing the work before and after today. So the day, if you didn't catch up on today's work, make sure you get all those done in the Nearpod. That quiz right there and the poll earlier. So that I can see that data and make sure you guys are getting as much help as possible. All right. As always, I have 3 things for you. You are kind, you are smart, you are important. I'm looking forward to seeing you all very, very soon. And until then, have an awesome day.